So, hi, Alicia. It's so great to finally see you.
Yes, thank you for having me. Happy to be talking with you today.
Yeah, I honestly feel so fortunate that you've been able to join me today because I know you have such a hectic schedule. Um, but I have to say also that I'm very jealous because I can see the sunshine in the background. So,
Yeah, I wanted the curtains open, but it's actually too bright because the sun's going down. We're on the west, so yeah.
yeah, the west side of Barbados, lovely.
Hmm.
Well, I know I did tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. So just to quickly recap about that, this concept of mine, the spotlighting of different Caribbean chefs, was a little bright idea that I had earlier this year because I felt the interviews that I did last year that included some chefs and general kind of like health and well-being lifestyles that related to the Caribbean. I thought this year I really wanted to profile chefs from the Caribbean, and it's so important for me to really, I think, represent the different islands as well, and how food really matters to us. It's such an
Right.
important and integral part of our lives.
100%.
Yeah, and I thought, you know what? I definitely, I mean, of course, I did Trinidad initially. So now I'm going to shine the spotlight on Barbados.
Fair enough.
Um, yeah, so this is why I thought, looking through obviously the magazines, and, I actually have to give a little shout out here to Sophie Willoughby, who was the one who did, recommend. She's like, you have to speak to Alicia. So I said, okay. And the more I read and the more I researched, I was just so blown away and impressed with the amount of stuff that you have done so far. I mean, not just in the chef arena, but I think just in life in general. Um, so I'm going to start with my first question, and
Okay.
that is, what had really inspired you to become a chef?
So that's a funny one. It sort of just happened. I never actually thought that's what I would be doing. I used to sing. I'm very much an artsy person. I've always cooked in the kitchen, at home with the family and so on, and been very different in what I was making and so on. With the singing career, it's very seasonal, as a lot of things in this kind of industry for Barbados and the Caribbean are. And I needed something else to sort of sustain an income, a lifestyle. And my father suggested to me, why don't you cook? Because your food is so good. I was like, that's an interesting idea because I actually love to cook, but, I never thought about being a chef. And I started up a little entrepreneurial venture, so to speak, here at home. And I had like a soup kitchen from home. I would do salads, like proper food, and deliver it to people at work or at home. And from there, it just kind of progressed, and I realized, I'm really good at this, and people really like my food, and I've stepped up in such a short space of time. Maybe this is what I need to be doing. And the whole step of the way, I feel like my life just kind of led me here. I used to work in a restaurant on the side with the singing career as well, and it's just funny when I look back then I never thought I would be running a restaurant. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I know this then took you to Canada and Le Cordon Bleu. So, I mean, even taking that massive step and getting into the classic training and everything that you've done, I mean, a lot of people know that's a lot of hard work, and dedication to really make that step. But what drew you back? Because I know I mean, from what I've also read, you also have like a very international influence in your dishes. But I was, what really I think interests me is like, why leave and then, be drawn back home to Barbados?
So I feel like that was always kind of the plan at some point. So as you said, I had my time at culinary school in Ottawa, and then I worked. If I thought culinary school kicked my butt, it was working in Toronto that really, in a big restaurant setting with a full kitchen brigade. That's what, really showed me, okay, this is tough work. This is no easy thing. But it was a great experience. And when I was there, I kind of hurt my back in a very bad way. And, I went from working 16 hours a day to 7 hours a day. And because I was on a post-grad work permit and I had fast-tracked my education at culinary school, so instead of doing 2 courses in 2 years, I did them in 1. So I only had 1 year permitted to work in Canada as an international student. So the company I was working for, before I had hurt my back, they were going to sponsor me to stay. But because of my back situation, I had to come home. And that was kind of, it wasn't in the plans, and I was a bit upset about it. But in coming back home, I was able to seek attention, medical attention, and get care from an osteopath. And I sort of had to slowly, get back into things here and figure it out. So I did a bit of private chefing, and everything kind of led me to where I have been for the last few years.
Well, I can't think of a better place to heal than in Barbados.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they always say, when God closes one door, he will open something else. So, it just, you never know. But it's a good thing because, I'm sure everyone in Barbados is enjoying your food. So
yes, and that's another thing, I guess I'm getting a little more recognition here than I probably would get if I were still in Canada, because, there's a lot of good chefs out there doing their thing, right? So coming back home, and then I already had a bit of a following just through social media and stuff, because I always used to post a lot. And I think that with starting up Eco and what we've done at Eco, and with working with the owners and the example that we've kind of set and the trend that we've set, I've gotten a bit recognized and so on. So that's kind of a pro, I think, coming home and doing something for Barbados and being recognized for it.
Well, I think this is the other thing that interested me because, again, focusing on kind of like that whole healthy lifestyle concept theme, when I saw the stuff that you were doing or that you are doing right now, and with the Eco Lodge as well, it just looks phenomenal because, you can see how all the elements, the environment, the people involved, everything is about, healing. It's about, just creating that environment for people to develop this kind of healthier concept so that they can see that, even picking things from the garden is, the quality, the taste, this is what should really, matter.
Correct. Know where your produce is coming from, support the local farmers and so on.
Yeah. But what kind of got you started with them in the first place? Because I know I did read that you had to, you were exposed to a lot of it because of this woman who had started you in it as well with the lodge.
Yes, Chef Manuela. So funny enough, so as I had said, I was doing a few private chef jobs, which is really good work. But I was finally ready with the state of my back to get into something full time, to figure out, okay, what's next? What am I going to do now? And I was working with her. So she is like the top raw food, vegan, plant-based chef in Barbados. She's from Brazil. She's amazing. And I attribute all my plant-based knowledge and experience to her, to be honest. And I was working with her. She would do like catered meals and so on, or subscription meals where she would do detoxes and, so we'd have a plan, like meal plans for the week and so on. So I would help prep along with her plant-based items. Sometimes I would add a fish element or an egg element to the meals, as well as help with the soups and the veg prep she was doing and so on. And she recommended me to the owners at Eco because they had approached her about what they wanted to do there. And I actually received what I like to say is the best rejection letter I've ever had in my life when I had applied for sous chef at Cobbler's Cove. So that didn't work out. And I said, you know what, let me check this place, because at first I was like, nah, a vegan cafe on the East Coast. It's so far. You know how we Bajans are. It just, at the time, it really didn't strike me as something for me. But I said, leave no stone unturned. Let me go. Let me see what this opportunity is about. Let me meet the people and so on. And honestly, as soon as I met them, as soon as I saw the place and I heard the vibe and I saw their vision, that was it. Like, I'm in.
I mean, I can see from the dishes that you prepare as well how much emphasis is really put on just local grown. And that I find is just so great, because obviously finding suppliers and dealing with that whole issue, it can be so difficult for restaurants and chefs to deal with. But what I find amazing is the fact that you guys, you've got the gardens, you've got, you can really utilize everything, like from both land and sea as much as you can to create the delicious dishes that you do.
Correct. And I think that was, it's also, funny enough, it's also one of the harder ways to tackle a restaurant for a small island, where, yes, we do have a lot available to us, but not as much as you may want or as consumers may want. So what I did was try to keep the menu sort of as a skeleton so I could change things daily, because I couldn't always get what I need, and that's where the problem lies sometimes when you're doing local, like the demand and the supply. So changing the menu is key, and rotating the menu all the time is key. But we're literally, I would like to say 80-something% local sourced, everything that we use. Obviously, things that we don't get here, we have to use, like oils and vinegars and spices and things like that. But, all fruits, all veg, all seafood is caught here. And if we don't get it here, we just don't use it. And if we don't have it, we just don't offer it.
Even looking at the menu, literally, I can see just the different influences. You could see some of the Bajan influence. You could see some of the classical training. You can see some of the other international. It just feels like it's such a nice melting pot of different things. And, I don't always like to use that fusion word because I know it's always been thrown around so much. But I think there is still a unique element in the kind of dishes that you prepare. And it very much still feels like, there's a Bajan something in the background,
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my style is still developing as a chef, but right now it's very much focused on, okay, what I'm getting from the people who I work with and doing something funky and different with the training that I've had. And that training can be from school, from where I worked in Toronto, from different chefs that I met and worked with along my whole journey. I feel like I've been influenced by many different things. So,
yeah, I think this is again why I found this whole situation and what you are doing so interesting, because I feel like it's not just a niche kind of, area of the chefing kind of business, I would say, in Barbados, and the restaurant business and the whole, hotel and the whole industry. But I think what you're doing it's new, and it's also something that is so much needed right now. And because of everything that you've done, I think it is definitely a stepping stone to develop this whole concept and take it into like a really other, a new level. So it's exciting to see what's going to happen next. So this is my next question, actually. So
okay.
where do you see I want to talk about first Bajan food. So where do you see Bajan food on sort of like the international scene? Because there's been a lot of recognition recently about Barbados. I think there's like a Zagat um, rating. I think for Barbados, it's supposed to be the top country actually in the Caribbean for restaurants, and so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the restaurant scene is definitely kicking off. There are a lot of amazing chefs here right now. A lot of young chefs too, up and coming and so on, doing different things and making, movements and impressing people and so on. So it's exciting because I feel like for a while it was kind of, same old in terms of the restaurant scene and the style of food that you would find at a fine dining restaurant or a nice restaurant and so on. But now I feel like people are pushing the borders and the boundaries and getting out there, and you're seeing a lot more modern things. And yeah, people are doing some really creative stuff. And I think that we're definitely making a name for Bajan chefs, especially here in Barbados. In terms of Bajan food, I would say that it's slowly becoming more recognized by people because, as I say, like Trini, Trini food is very well known. Like this is Trini food and this is Jamaican food. You have jerk for Jamaica and all other kind of things. And then you have for Trinidad, you think doubles and you think curries and you think hot sauce and whatnot. And I feel like, and shark and bake. Oh my goodness, I love shark and bake.
God, yes, let's not talk about that.
So, and Barbados, you think, okay, macaroni pie, baked chicken, fish cakes, but we're breadfruit is being utilized a lot more these days. And I love that. People are doing a lot of different things with breadfruit. And I think breadfruit, as the superfood that it is very cool ingredient to use. And I'm all for that. So I think it's just for Bajan cuisine going forward, I think it's just about highlighting once again what we grow in Barbados and what is available to us and using it in cool and different ways. I think that's the direction that we're kind of heading.
Yeah, I can sense that as well. I think after, obviously in the last year with, obviously moving away from the good old Queen and, Barbados, I think now coming into its own again, and all the young people. I'm so happy that you mentioned that about the young chefs, because I think this is the future for all of us. It's the young people. And, I know you talk so much and so daily about your own team and how much it is, to create that kind of like atmosphere at work, especially in the kitchen. But, how much do you think your team has an impact on everything that you're doing at the moment?
I mean, 100% impact because they are, they are it. We are it. It is a lot. And especially since COVID, my team has been minimalized, so to speak. So everyone's taking on a lot more. That's kind of what's happening in most businesses. But without them, there would be no me. Without them, this wouldn't be happening, right? And what is actually one of my greatest accomplishments, I think, is being able to get my team to the place, especially the kitchen crew, to the place where they are reiterating my food the way I want it. Because as a chef, that is a big deal. Like that's your goal, right?
Yes, yeah.
For everyone to be on the same page with your food and so on. And the vibe is just great. We're like a family, and that is what I have experienced in my culinary path so far. Fortunately for me. Because, I didn't want it any other way. And like the options that I had where I worked, the different choices I had of where I could work, I always went for the place that felt more like that kind of cohesive, like working as a team, working together, very good for you work environment. And I think that if you have that, then you're blessed and you can do anything with that, seriously. So my team is definitely,
Yeah,
it
I know
means
that.
everything to me and to the business.
Yeah, again, I always go back to my whole thing or my whole kind of belief that, we show our love through the food. And if it's amazing, it's probably because there's a lot of love that went into it.
Yes, I agree.
So I think, I can see obviously you're still young. There's so much ahead for you. I mean, I love the fact that even with your philanthropic work, with the soup kitchen and giving back, what are some of the things that you see yourself doing, maybe somewhere in the future? What do you see for Alisha?
What do I see for Alisha? This is something that I've been studying a lot recently, naturally. Definitely somewhere along the lines, somewhere in time, my own restaurant. No idea what the concept would be yet, but I feel like when that time were to come, I would know.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely see myself writing a book. I definitely see myself writing a cookbook, and people are always asking me about that. I mean, all the time. So there's that. And I don't know, maybe I'll do some demos because, again, that's something that I love to teach people about what I've learned and share my knowledge um, of what I've learned in the culinary world with people. And it could be my mom at home, it'd be like, oh, well, when you do this with the chicken, you do it because of this. And, I like to do that. So like people who have lived with me along my journey or who have spent time with me in the kitchen, they will always be like, oh, Alisha, you've taught me so much. And now I make the best this or the best that. And thank you. And, all these little tips and tricks, like I like to share. So I feel like at some point I'm going to be doing some kind of sharing in form of teaching or demos or something like that. So those three things I definitely see.
Yeah, I definitely see that as well. I would like to be one of those students actually when I come to Barbados.
Sure. Yes.
Oh my God. Well, I just want to thank you so much for, spending this time with me and sharing, your experiences, your knowledge and also your philosophy. This is I think what is so needed right now. We've been through so much already in the last couple of years, and obviously with still things happening all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really try to, I think, encourage that whole creative vibe, and because I think that works hand in hand with positivity and us really doing something to kind of spread that joy. And I think Caribbean people, we do it well.
We do. We light up the room, man.
We do. But yeah, so I just want to thank you so much again for joining me.
It's been a pleasure, honestly. It was very nice to meet you as well. And thank you for being so interested in me and supportive. It's been awesome.
Yeah, well, I working with Weareoneparadise, who is going to be doing this massive collaboration with me this month. We are definitely going to be bigging up Barbados this month. So just, everyone needs to keep their eyes peeled. But again, thank you so much, my dear.
You're so welcome. Seriously. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.